and a yoga teacher and author of the Smoothie Book. And I'm here to talk to you every week about nutrition topics. So, very excited to be here with you today. And today we are going to be discussing Greek yogurt. I love Greek yogurt and what is it, all of that good stuff. So, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. I have the chat up with me on YouTube, so I will be able to answer your questions or comments, or if you have anything to discuss related to Greek yogurt. Okay, so, and then we're gonna be making a really good looking recipe for Greek yogurt biscuits. So, kind of like buttermilk biscuits, but the sour comes from the Greek yogurt. They look so good. And I have a sneak peek of what the outcome is too, so that's even more exciting. Okay, so welcome to the show. Let's get started. So, what is Greek yogurt? Greek yogurt is strained yogurt, so the regular yogurt, strained yogurt that has been put through a process in it. So regular yogurt, you strain it through like cheesecloth or a fine mesh strainer, and it makes a thicker, denser yogurt or yogurt product. And that is also higher in protein and just a thicker, more creamy, delicious product. I'm gonna take 1 second here to bring us into YouTube. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so another way of describing Greek yogurt, I found lots of different ways to describe it. It is that it is fermented yogurt, yogurt that's been fermented, which most yogurts have, and it's strained and gone through these processes of being put through the fine mesh sieve. So it could be, if it's a small batch, a sieve. If it's a larger batch, it might be like a huge process of straining it. Some manufacturers call Greek yogurt because they've added thickeners to it, but it hasn't actually been strained. So it's kind of a tricky process. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it is possible that thickeners have been added rather than the yogurt being strained. So just make sure you read labels, and we'll talk about that a little bit too, and a little bit later. Excuse me. So, strained yogurt is very popular in the Mediterranean region and the Middle Eastern region. We'll talk about some dishes that are made with it. And labneh, which is a version of strained yogurt, is another product made over in the Mediterranean, Middle Eastern part of the world, and it is so delicious. I just had it recently. So basically what it is strained yogurt mixed with salt, and then you put it in a cheesecloth and you let all the liquid really drain out. And then you squeeze it, get the liquid out, put that in a sieve, put that sieve over, or a colander, put that over a bowl, let it sit in the refrigerator for 12 to 24 hours, and you've got this really nice, spreadable, soft cheese product, kind of like paneer. But paneer, you let it sit longer. We did make paneer on this show, so if you have watched it, let me know. Or if you want to see how paneer is made, check it out on the channel. But anyway, the labneh is then, after that process, then you just put it in a dish, drizzle olive oil over it, put some herbs like za'atar over that, and then you dip pita bread or veggies. I had it recently at a Mediterranean restaurant, and it was served alongside toast with eggs and hummus and avocado. It was so good. If you ever had the chance to have labneh, if you see it on a menu or if you see it in the grocery store, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Okay, so and the longer you let it sit, if you let it drain longer in the refrigerator, it'll become thicker and thicker, more like a cream cheese. So if you do make it, the longer you have it sit, the thicker it will become. Okay, so history, uses, and cuisines that use yogurt. lots of them. So the word yogurt comes from a Turkish word that means to thicken, curdle, or coagulate. So there we go. Greek yogurt is often used in cooking because it doesn't curdle like regular yogurt sometimes does. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of more like a sour cream. Some straining removes the whey and more milk is needed. So more milk is needed to make Greek yogurt because you lose some of the whey, some of the liquid from the milk in the process. So it is sometimes more expensive and therefore also makes it more higher in protein, which we will discuss when we get into the health benefits of Greek yogurt. Okay, so there isn't a standard, like I was saying before, there is no standard for what we can call Greek yogurt. You know how in other episodes we've talked about how if you truly want a true Parmesan cheese, it has to have been made in that region, or if you want Champagne, it has to be made in Champagne region of France, things like that. Well, Greek yogurt doesn't truly have a standard, so anybody can say that their yogurt is a Greek yogurt, even though a lot of times it's more Greek style yogurt than Greek yogurt. In the UK, they do say that Greek yogurt has to be made in Greece to be called Greek yogurt, otherwise it's called Greek style. So just keeping that in mind. So sometimes companies do add thickeners to it, like guar gum, locust gum, any kind of gum is going to make it thicker, and sometimes it's not truly been strained. So check the protein content too. If it's not very high, then it probably hasn't been strained. Interesting piece of information. Okay, so also straining removes some of the lactose in the yogurt, in the dairy product. So if you are lactose intolerant, oftentimes yogurt is fine anyway, but Greek yogurt may be even better because it has less lactose and it has less sugars in it. Let's see. So let's discuss the areas of the world that consume and make yogurt. So in Central Asia, so countries such as Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, their yogurt is called chaka or suzma, and it's strained yogurt and sometimes further drained to make a cheese, kind of like the labneh, or kind of like the paneer. Okay, Western Asia or Eastern Mediterranean, so lots of countries here: Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, Armenia. They all make labneh, which is that strained yogurt with salt, kind of like a soft cheese, or it is a soft cheese, not kind of, it is a soft cheese, and often served with olive oil drizzled over it with herbs. Super good. In Egypt, oftentimes yogurt is eaten for something more sweet, so they add honey and fruits to it, so it's like a breakfast or a snack, kind of like we have here too in the US. In India, there is a dish called shirkhand, which I saw a recipe for this on relish.com, and that is made with strained yogurt, and sugar, saffron, cardamom, fruit, and nuts are added to it. So it sounds really, really, really good, and I really want to try that sometime. So we'll have to try it. I'm just gonna check our chat, make sure nobody has written in. Paneer requires lemon juice too. Oh, that's right. Thank you for that bit of information. Paneer does require lemon juice, yes, and labneh does not. So that is a good distinction. So it is less of that cheese process. Okay, so in Europe, lots of European countries consume yogurt. In Albania, it's eaten with dill, garlic, cucumber, nuts, or olive oil, or made into a cheese or a drink. In Bulgaria, it's used in salads and dressings. In Greece, tzatziki sauce, the base is yogurt, Greek yogurt, or it's used as a dessert with honey, which I always like that. Denmark, there is a dish used with strained yogurt, aka Greek yogurt, and they put breadcrumbs and brown sugar on it, and it's eaten for breakfast. I think that sounds so good. I really want to try that. And like I was saying before, in the UK, Greek yogurt, they say, you know, if it's Greek yogurt, it has to be from Greece, otherwise it's called Greek style yogurt, but they consume it as well. And in the US, it's, eaten similar to yogurt. It's become very, very popular here in the US. Lots of yogurts are Greek yogurts. And it's often used as a replacement for sour cream because it does have that sour flavor. And used in top soups or mixed in soups, used for salad dressings, used for dips, used for biscuits like we're gonna make today. Oh yeah, as you notice, I have an R mug. We have an A and an R. Okay, I'm drinking some really delicious raspberry leaf tea. Okay, so let's discuss health information. So I'm gonna give you the nutrition information breakdown of Greek yogurt versus unstrained yogurt. So strained yogurt, Greek yogurt, unstrained yogurt, regular yogurt, I guess we'll call it. Okay, so 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt, and this is whole milk Greek yogurt, because there is a distinction, has about 110 calories, 5.7 grams of fat, 2.7 of which are saturated fat, a little bit of cholesterol, 15 milligrams because it's a dairy product, 4.5 grams of carb, 10 grams of protein for 1/2 cup. That's really good. And about 9% of your calcium needs for the day. That's Greek yogurt, strained yogurt. And then there's unstrained yogurt or regular yogurt, so it's thinner. Has about 75 calories, 4 grams of fat, a little bit less fat, 2.5 of those grams are saturated, 15 milligrams of cholesterol, so about the same, and 190, I forgot to say potassium. The Greek yogurt has 160 milligrams of potassium, about 5%, and the regular yogurt has 190, so pretty close, like 6% of your needs of potassium. Okay, back to regular yogurt. Has 5.7 grams of carb and 4.3 grams of protein, so quite a bit less. So if you're looking for that protein power punch, get the Greek yogurt. And 11% of your calcium needs, so a little bit more calcium in regular yogurt. So that's kind of the breakdown. So in general, Greek yogurt is a really good source of protein, as we discussed. Calcium, iodine, and vitamin B12. We're going to kind of break that down in a little bit. And let's see, Greek yogurt includes additional steps to making the process than regular yogurt. So we talked about that's why sometimes it's a little bit more expensive, things like that. And I thought this was interesting. In order for strained yogurt to be called strained yogurt or Greek yogurt, it has to have 5.6% protein content compared to 2.7% protein in unstrained yogurt or regular yogurt. So we saw that. So 1/2 cup of Greek has 10 grams of protein, 1/2 cup of regular yogurt has about 4. So that's a big difference. That's a really big difference. Okay, so let's do some health benefits of Greek yogurt. So number 1, we talked about this. Greek yogurt is a great source of protein. We know protein is important in our life. Number 2, Greek yogurt may be good for our bones because it is a good source of calcium. Number 3, Greek yogurt is a good source of vitamin B12, which even if you're a meat eater, vegetarian, this is a good source of B12. If you're vegan, you're not going to have Greek yogurt. But if you're vegetarian and don't eat a whole lot of meat, then this is a good way to get your B12. And B12 is important, as we know. So 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt gives you 38% of your daily needs of B12. So that's really, really good. Just think if you're eating it frequently, you're getting your good source of B12 there. And B12 is important for forming our red blood cells and forming DNA. And it's also very important in the function and development of brain and nerve cells. So we need this B12. Okay, Greek yogurt is also good for our gut health, probiotics. Greek yogurt's got them. That's always important for good digestion, just good health in general. So make sure your Greek yogurt says it has live and active cultures. Excuse me, I forgot the word. Live and active cultures. You want that in your Greek yogurt. And also it's important, best for our health, if you buy plain and then maybe add some fruit or just a touch of maple syrup or honey or whatever. Because they say that if it has added sugar, that can decrease the effectiveness of the probiotics. So buy plain. You know, if it's going to be flavored, it's going to be sweetened. Even if it's vanilla, it's going to have sugar added to it. So just keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. Have it in the back of your head when you're buying Greek yogurt. And also, fifth and final, Greek yogurt may keep us full longer just because it has so much protein. Then we won't eat as much in between meals, all that good stuff. So higher protein keeps you full longer. Greek yogurt's got it. Okay, so what are the different types? I'm just going to talk about the breakdown of whole milk Greek yogurt versus low-fat Greek yogurt versus non-fat Greek yogurt. Okay, so whole milk, I guess. Whole milk Greek yogurt has 5 grams of fat, typically, per half cup. 2.7 grams of saturated fat, 10 grams of protein. Low-fat Greek yogurt has 2.2 grams of fat per serving, 1.4 grams of saturated fat, so a little bit less, and 11 grams of protein. I thought that was interesting. And non-fat Greek yogurt, or skim milk Greek yogurt, has 2 grams of fat, 1 gram of saturated fat, and 9 grams of protein. So that's the kind that you want to look for. So if you're buying non-fat Greek yogurt, just keep in mind there might be thickeners added to it, just because of the fat being taken away. So just so you know, just look at the ingredients. Sometimes I looked it up, some non-fat Greek yogurts do not have thickeners. So just read the ingredients if that's something you are interested in knowing. Okay, so are there risks in eating Greek yogurt? Well, not a whole lot. I just have 2 potentials. So one, like I said, is the sugars. If you're buying flavored Greek yogurt, it will have sugar added to it. So if you're looking at your carbs or if you're diabetic and you need to know these things, just be aware, better to buy the plain. And also Greek yogurt is a dairy product. So if you are lactose intolerant and you don't feel, or you feel discomfort after eating Greek yogurt, then maybe eat it in moderation or just not have it. But it does have less lactose than unstrained yogurt. So keeping that in mind. One last thing, and then we're going to make these biscuits, which I'm really excited about. How do you store Greek yogurt? Well, keep it covered in the refrigerator until the use by date. And that's it. That's it, everybody. We are now going to make Greek yogurt biscuits. You can find this recipe on relish.com. Let me see if I have another comment. Pretty good source of B12. Oh, yeah. You were ahead of me there. Okay, so I'm going to take a sip of my tea. And let's make some biscuits. Okay. And then I have a treat because I have already made them and I will show you the final product. Okay, so we are going to make some biscuits. And I only altered one thing because you know how if you watch my show regularly, you know that I like to change things up a little bit. So let's pull up our sleeves. I'm going to take off my ring because we're going to be using butter. To get the butter out of the fridge. So I will be right back. It's important to keep the butter cold when you're making biscuits. So I kept it in the fridge. Okay, so let's start off. So I cut the recipe in half. So we have to use 1.5 cups of flour. I did 1 cup of all-purpose and 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour. This is how I make my pizza dough too. Just adding just a little bit of that, or 1/3 of it, I guess, 1/3 of the flour with some whole wheat. It just makes it a little bit healthier. It adds a little bit more fiber, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, all that good stuff. Okay, so 1.5 cups of flour. You know my combo. And then we've got 1/2 tablespoon of sugar. We've got 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we've got all of our dry ingredients here. I'm gonna put that in with the flour. All right, there we go. Just drop that in there. Okay, and then I've got a fork and I'm just gonna stir all those dry ingredients in here together. And also, we've preheated the oven to 400 degrees. Okay, then my favorite part is putting the butter in the flour. Okay, so we need about 1/3 of a cup of butter, because I've cut the recipe in half. A little bit more than 1/3 of a cup. So we've got our cold unsalted butter, and I'm gonna cut it into 3 sections and then into some cubes. And we're gonna put those cubes in the flour. Drop, drop, drop. Drop it in the flour. Here we go. And I'm just gonna add a little bit more because I did make these already and I felt like I needed to put a little bit extra butter in. Can't go wrong with butter. All right. So about 1/3 of a cup. The recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of butter. Yeah, and we're cutting that in half. So, okay, there we go. Put our butter to the side. There we go. All right, now, this is my favorite part. This is where you get to use your hands. All right, and we're just gonna take our hands and we're gonna mix the butter into the flour. And so what you do is you take the butter and you just kind of slide it over your fingers. You're kind of really trying to squash it so that the texture of the flour ultimately ends up like big, or like peas, or like big pieces of sand, so that all of the butter is kind of integrated into the flour. Okay, I wish I had a camera here to show you the process above me, like they do in studios, but this is the home kitchen version. Okay. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. You know, you don't want to have your hands in here too long because you don't want the butter to get too warm. You want it to kind of stay cold. Okay, but so you just want it coarse, like coarse sand, or like cornmeal, or like tiny little peas. Okay, here we go. Almost done. Almost done. Okay. So, I'm gonna rinse my hands because they do get a little bit floury. And I'm gonna grab this towel over here. All right. Next, we're gonna mix our liquid ingredients. So, put my ring back on. Okay, we've got half of an egg. The recipe calls for a full egg, but we're just doing half the recipe. And about 1/3 of a cup of Greek yogurt, the star ingredient of the day. And then we're gonna put about 2 tablespoons of cold water. So I put ice cubes in this water. 2 tablespoons. This calls for 3, so we really technically need 1.5, but I felt like I needed a little bit more in my dough earlier. So we're gonna do 2, a little bit more than 2. And then you take a whisk it all up so that it's just nice and smooth. There we go. Make sure those earrings are fab. Oh, thank you very much. They were a gift last year for Valentine's Day. We're coming up on that again. Okay, so now we're gonna add this liquid to the flour mixture. It's looking good. I left the water here just in case we needed extra liquid, but I think we're gonna be good. Okay, then we stir the flour mixture. Now I guess we could call it dough. Just until everything kind of starts to come together. And there is definitely yogurt on the spoon, so I'm gonna kind of get that off with my fingers. And stirring so everything's very nicely, evenly mixed. I'm gonna just add just a touch more water. Touch, a touch, a touch. There we go. Because we want this dough to come together into a nice ball. And we are gonna have curried sweet potato chickpea stew tonight for dinner. And we're gonna have the biscuits alongside it. It is gonna be delicious. Okay, so now I'm gonna just take my hand and kind of form this into a dough. Form it into a dough. This is how I did it before, and it worked out really well. It seems really crumbly, but it works. It totally works. So you just kind of press the dough into the bowl to kind of pick up all that extra flour. And then, this is a pretty easy process. Some biscuit recipes I've made before, you have to make the dough, put it in the refrigerator, let it sit in there for a while. So this is nice because it's pretty quick. Okay, so we've got a nice ball of dough. Here we go. Nice ball of dough. And then we're going to flour your work surface. So we've got this nice cutting board here. And we're gonna flour a rolling pin, and then we're just gonna roll it out. So you can use biscuit cutters. I am gonna cut them into squares because then you don't have to, like, when you use biscuit cutters, you cut it, then you have all this leftover dough, you gotta re-roll it, cut it again, which that's fine because that makes a really cool looking biscuit. But this is the rustic version, which I learned from a cooking class I took once. Okay, so I'm kind of forming mine more into a square. Let's see, let's put this here. So you form it into a square, and you take a large knife, and you just cut across, and then you cut across again, another row, and then you cut a row. So they're rustic looking. Not every biscuit is gonna be the same shape, but that's okay. That is okay. And then you've got, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 biscuits. That's it. You put them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. You bake them in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. And this is what you get. Really good looking biscuits. So, let me know if you try it. It's super, super easy and super delicious. You can have them for breakfast, you can have them with a stew, you can have any sort of biscuit meal that you want. Okay, thank you so much for joining in the show today. Great to see you all. I hope you enjoy your Greek yogurt. See you again next time. Have a great day.